Hey everyone and welcome back. Today we're talking about a long-term review about the Sony A7IV. After 6 months of testing it, after 6 months of doing photos and videos with it, is it still the camera that I was hoping for when I bought it? I don't want to go too much in detail about all of the specs. I guess there are plenty of videos out there to do so, but I just want to share with you my personal experience. Hey there, I'm Benny. I'm a videographer based in Brooklyn, New York City, and today I want to tell you my experiences so far with the Sony A7IV. This camera has been my main camera since I moved to New York City about 6 months ago, and I've put it through various photo and video shoots, travels, private photo walks, as well as weddings and business shoots. So I bought this camera for a couple of reasons. Mainly because I wanted to have an affordable camera that can shoot video in an outstanding quality, but also is able to shoot photos in a very good quality. But before I give you a summary about this camera, I would like to give you a quick overview what this camera is actually able to do. So the Sony A7IV is a so-called hybrid camera. This means we have cameras like the Sony A7R series that are completely made for photos. And we have cameras like the Sony A7S series that are totally made for videos. The Sony A7IV is a hybrid, means it can do both in a very good quality, but of course with some downsides. But before I tell you what I don't like about it, let's dive into the photo specs. So the Sony A7IV has a 33 megapixel sensor that delivers stunning details and dynamic range. The colors are vibrant and the low light performance is impressive with minimal noise even at high ISOs. I have to say that the color management and also the quality is much better than my previous camera, the Sony A7 III. In low light conditions, the A7IV has exceeded my expectations. The ISO range is versatile and the noise reduction works wonder, allowing me to capture crisp and clean images even in challenging lighting. Like for many other Sony cameras, the autofocus is another strong side of the A7IV. The real-time eye autofocus for both humans and animals is incredibly accurate and fast. It's been a game changer for portrait sessions and street photography. So overall, a very good photo camera, and honestly, not so many specs I think are missing, especially if you don't do wildlife or sports photography. But now it's time to talk about my favorite thing: video. So the A7IV shoots in 4K up to 60 frames in 10-bit, delivers sharp and detailed footage. It shoots 24 frames per second in a 4K on full frame mode and up to 60 frames using a 35mm mode. The image quality and the color management are outstanding, and it either supports S-Cinetone or S-Log. These are picture profiles that give you a flat footage to work with. And again, the stabilization as well as the autofocus is really outstanding, and it makes it really easy to use it handheld for vlogging, but honestly also for professional projects. All these features make this camera nearly the perfect video camera. But there are some downsides that I have to mention. So as I said, the camera shoots up to 60 frames per second in 4K. The problem is that the camera shoots in a crop mode. So when you shoot with the higher frame rate, it results in a very zoomed in picture. And this has ups and downsides. So the good thing is that even if you shoot in the super 35mm mode, the picture is super sharp, detailed, and you still shoot in 4K. In fact, you don't lose any quality. This means you have two focal lengths in some ways on the same time on your camera, depending if you shoot in 24 frames per second in full frame mode, or if you shoot in 60 frames per second slow motion in a zoomed in picture. The downside is that you need to get much wider lenses if you want to shoot in slow motion, but also want to get wide shots. I also have to say that the camera shoots in 120 frames per second, but only in 1080p and with 8-bit, which honestly doesn't give you very much room for color grading or zooming in. But the footage is decent and usable, but I would only recommend to use it when you really know that you need this super slow motion. I also have to mention that the display of this camera is not so good. So especially when you shoot in a very bright, sunny environment, it can be that you don't see that much as with other cameras. And sometimes I had to use the viewfinder when filming in sunny conditions. And last but not least, I want to mention the heat management of this cam. It has happened to me a couple of times that the camera started overheating and I had to turn it off. I managed later on to change some settings and it got better, but honestly, if you want to film longer, for example like business interviews, you need a camera that is 100% reliable and doesn't turn off or overheat. So what do I think so far? Honestly, I think it's a great camera and it's really fun to shoot photos and to shoot videos with it. And I have to say, I mostly bought this camera out of its price point. I wanted to have a camera that is able to shoot photos and videos in a good and decent quality. And I used to shoot on the Sony A7IV before, but since this is mainly a video camera and it's much more expensive, I didn't want to spend as much money. And I have to say that there are other costs that come, like expensive SD cards or other expensive accessories. Again, both qualities are amazing, but when it comes down to the specs, there are definitely more downsides for video than for photo. And I have to say, if you're doing this in a professional way, you need a camera that is 100% reliable. And it has happened twice to me already that this camera didn't recognize the SD cards before I wanted to record a video, and this was one day before I shot a wedding. And to be honest, you need a camera that is 100% reliable if you want to have gigs with it. To sum it up in one sentence, I think this camera is an amazing photo camera and it's a semi-professional video camera. And I will definitely use it as my B camera in the future. Alright guys, this was a new video on this channel with a little bit of new topic. Let me know if you're interested in more kind of long-term reviews. I would love to do them and I would love what you think about it. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I see you hopefully in the next one.